Hi, John Marshall, the DrillMaster. I have another critique here. This is an unarmed platoon in Georgia, which is kind of neat. Um, anyway, before I press play, just wanted to get some a view of. Now I'm not looking. I can see shoes are a little bit the welt of these shoes here and there are, they're filled with dust, and that's not a big issue. You're on a giant field, so not a problem at all. I do question the metals though. That's uh, it's interesting. Junior ROTC has 1.5 million medals that you can wear, and some units will give out medals for washing your hands, just about. So it lowers the standards for achieving those awards, which is unfortunate. But the national awards, though, at the national level, the um, oh, I forget some of the awards that I received back when I was in junior ROTC, but they're the the easily recognizable awards. Anyway, those still have the good standards. So wanted to say, for commander here, you have your hips are forward and rotated, and then your shoulders are behind your hips. Now it might be because right now you have the the frame just happens to be stopped with your mouth open. You're calling a command. I'm quite sure that's the case here. But I don't know if you're actually leaning back as some do to try and force out that command, get that projection. That's not a technique to use for projection. You should be standing just like any other cadet here. It might be a posture thing for you. You might stand kind of like this, and with the hips forward and rotated as well. It's not a healthy stance. I just wanted to mention that it's your ribs would be flared then, and I mean there's all kinds of issues um, that can come about with this. So if it's just for command calling, then stop it. Don't do it. And this is he's what looks like a cadet lieutenant colonel, so probably a senior graduating this year, and commands might not be in his future. Still, it's just FYI for him, but also for anybody else who's watching this critique. It body posture is very necessary to pay attention to, and not only with drill and ceremonies, but in your personal life as well. So let's see what happens here. So no, so he called out right face, got it. That's his posture, that's his stance. So it wasn't a trying to lean back and get and you'll see that every once in a while somebody will try and move their entire torso, probably their entire body really, just to get those commands out. And really all it is, and I know you can't really see this, but here's my rib cage right here. These are my last two ribs. Right behind these ribs and just below, there's a big U-shaped muscle that is called the diaphragm, and the diaphragm is what separates the upper torso, the lower torso. It's always working. I just breathed and I activated the diaphragm just by inhaling and exhaling, and that's how it works all the time. It's working just like your heart muscle, just like other muscles in your body that are constantly working. You don't know they're working. You're just alive, so you know that. Anyway, to specifically activate the diaphragm muscle, you have to get acquainted with it, which is knowing how to activate it and then call out those commands, which is a different video for me. All right, so right face, and we're ready to go. All right. So forward march. Typical command calling for those cadets who don't understand how to specifically call commands. This is extremely common and also extremely unfortunate. So it's forward. You have to have, that's called inflection. What you heard in my voice, forward, and then way up here, march. Now, I'm not going to call those commands so that it would blow your ears out. So it looks like good arm swing. All right, so here, half step is huge. It should be 15 inches from heel to heel, but also there's three things wrong here with this half step. Arm swing is enormous. It's only 9 inches to the front and 6 inches to the rear. I know it seems like a large arm swing, but this is absolutely, we're talking like 24 inches to the front and 12 to the rear here. This is huge, huge arm swing. You really have to calm that arm swing down. So it's not only the arm swing, the length of the step is large, and then also the height of the steps here, absolutely, I would say out of control, honestly. And then you have a toe strike. So there's lots of things wrong with this half step. But let me silence my phone here. So what you need to do for half step is heel strike. A half step is exactly the same as a full step, except that it's just shorter. That's it. Except for the Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard. They're going to toe strike. They're still going to have that 15-inch distance, but they toe strike. Army, Air Force, Space Force, we all heel strike because it's just a half step. Same as the full step, just half that distance. So you're going to heel strike, but for taking a full length step, the 30-inch step, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to lift the foot so that it clears the marching surface. This is clearing logs. So you're stepping over logs just to execute this half step. So this is just, you're going to have to relearn muscle memory, which is a real pain in the neck. I get that, and I understand that. You're going to find it extremely odd to change, and I'm really sorry about that. But half step is totally different from what you're marching here. Yeah, that arm swing is just enormous. However, it's consistent. It's consistent throughout. Left face, not left face. It's usual for cadets to drop that command, the preparatory command. It's just unfortunately. So, Commander, don't execute the movements with the team. You're filling the position of commander, not team member. So the commander takes the team through a series of commands, and you don't go to parade rest. You don't execute a hand salute. None of that stuff. You should be 3 steps away and centered on the team. So why? So the report in is the only time you are supposed to salute the judge. That's it. The report in and the report out. So reporting, it doesn't matter the rank of the individual for who's going to receive that salute. Every time you report, you salute. Whatever rank the individual is, it doesn't matter. We always report with a salute. What you did, see, the team is assuming that this salute is possibly for the judge. Don't turn around and salute the judge. that doesn't make any sense, honestly. You reported, now continue working the sequence through and taking your team through. Don't do that. Don't turn around and salute the judge. Don't salute the flight. Platoon. One of the things that's also very common is people assume, cadets especially, cadets assume that once a salute is given, a salute must be returned. There's some kind of salute law out there, and the very first one is, if you salute, then it's got to be returned, and so the commander must return the salute. That has nothing to do with reality at all. This is again, this is the commander taking the platoon through a series of commands, and then the judges are there to give a critique of, based on the lousy score sheets. Then you're scored in that manner. So on the command off, in the manuals, it'll always say on the command, and it means actually after the command. So on the command, platoon attention, come to attention. Well, it's not on the command. You're not moving during the command of platoon attention. However, this is the one where you're actually going to move on the command. So the command is count off. On the command off, as the commander says the word off, the heads turn to the right, except for the squad leaders. Let's go back just a second here. So why is that? Why would the heads turn? So, and I get it, you turned when they said one. However, heads are supposed to be turned in anticipation of the number one being called out. So why do we turn the heads? We turn the heads to see who's next to us and what they're going to be calling out, what number. And of course, AJROTC for competition, we're going to go through this 100,000 times. It's just, we know the number that's going to be called out, but that's not always the case in a normal platoon in the Army situation. If you have to do that, you fall in for PT and you're going to count off so that you know your number for extending to the left, and then executing your PT exercises, something like that. So the command was developed so that you're not going to memorize your number, because you fall in wherever you fall in. And so off, I'm turning my head on the command off, and I'm going to look. All right, the guy next to me just said 2, so I'm going to call out 3. And then whoever's over here is looking and says 4, or whatever the case may be for the numbers. So the heads are turned in anticipation, not at the time. So it technically what second rank did is they know their number. Everybody knows this. We get that. However, the proper technique is to turn the heads on the command off. I hope I haven't. And that was a fine cadence, really well executed there, except for that. Good job, good. That's nice. I appreciate the spacing here. It actually looks to be very, quite consistent. That's a good thing. So on close interval and normal interval, you're going to move to close interval and then back out to normal interval. Now that means that you're going to take a metered step. It's not necessarily a full right or left step. So you need to end up where you're at close interval or normal interval, as the case may be then. And then as you move, though, you have to be aligned to the front. And we have some issues there with dress, or cover, actually. So, Commander, if you were 3 steps away, you wouldn't have had to do that. And I'm wondering if you're... All right, so you're not going to check alignment. And I encourage every drill meet to have the commander go through the process of checking the alignment. It just is a really good indication of how well, how in depth the training is. So, Commander, you're too close to your platoon. Good. The command voice with the drop there. Nope. Shouldn't have turned. You're not going to execute right step, Commander. You don't turn. You're going to actually march backwards. Okay? You have to face the flight. You have to face the platoon every single time you're halted to give a command. You don't face anywhere else. So here you're going to execute a back step. So some serious alignment issues there for now when you faced to the left, you're in inverted column, which means that your dress is to the left. However, you start moving to the right. So in essence, really, I would suggest keep your dress to the right, since you're moving to the right, and I think that will help you maintain that alignment. So arm swing is, I was saying, quite consistent. It's relatively consistent. There's a couple of individuals with a smaller arm swing, especially to the back. All right, so you're executing the so end steps. Let's talk about the column movement. So the column movement needs to have all of the squad leaders pivoting exactly at the same time. So column right, as you're marching forward or from a halt, whichever, column right march means that third squad leader is going to make that 90-degree angle, and then the other two are going to make a 45-degree angle. You arc around. You don't pivot any more than the once, and that pivot is made at the very beginning of the right after march. Column right march. That next left step is a 45-degree pivot for second and first squad leaders, and then the 90-degree pivot for third. But you can see end steps here were not consistent, not at all. So here, still alignment is out of alignment is out as we enter, and then look here. It gets a little bit worse. So again, the end step is the last step, my term, for the last step in the original direction, and then that's usually the last step before you halt, or it's the last step that on which you pivot. So on this right flank, that left step was the end step. Then you pivot, and if all of your end steps are at different lengths, you get something like this. Marching is all about, so, and you've closed up distance here, squad leaders. Marching is all about the making sure that end step is consistent, and also keeping your walking base. and we can translate that into marching bass. So it's when we get into competitive drill, there's all kinds of little tiny requirements. And your beret wear there, Commander, is bugging me a little bit. So the band needs to be horizontal, and you have it tilted back on your head. Boy, you know, the consistency of the arm swing, I really appreciate. That both of the rear marches were really well executed. Now, and then the half steps here were really good too. The arm swing, the half steps, I really just appreciate everything, even though it's incorrect. You know, arm swing is much too big, and then the half steps are really not really close at all to what proper technique is. But still, though, so there's evidence of training and there's evidence of lots of practice here, and that is really good. So while I lamented learning new muscle memory at the beginning of this critique, you know, with the level of training that you seem to have, there was a hop there which shouldn't be. So let's go back here. The learning the new muscle memory is probably not going to be that big of a challenge for you. Step, step, step. All right, so you skipped. Don't skip. Both feet have to stay on the ground. Change step, march, step, step, step. And what I saw here was a skip. We used to all skip. We don't skip anymore. And that's been a long time ago. So you're speeding up just a little bit on the mark time. Try and keep that tempo. And Commander, you had a lingering look there after the change step command. That second change step. And then here, look at the feet here, and it looks like everybody else they're online. Excellent job. But there's a difference here with third rank. So it's the end step, and that's, you know, whichever foot you call it on is platoon, halt, end step, 22.5 degrees, close. So it's the end step that needs to be consistent there. That isn't. But Commander, you gave change step, and then your head was kind of here, and then eventually you brought it back, and then you gave the hold. So you need to be much more precise in your execution of the head turn and then bringing the head back. The lag in the, oh, okay. The lag in the video actually really kind of makes the team look really cool. So let's look at this rear march. A little bit of phasing there. All right, so end steps there were different. All right, so a little bit of phasing here with body turns and pivots, but look at the end step. Huge end step here. Actually, it's probably a proper 30-inch step, but here, very, very small, quite small, so small that you're practically standing at attention. Uh, Small-ish, small. So this is a bit lengthy, not as wide as this, but so um, while initially it looks good, and the previous two rear marches I did appreciate, this, you know, on closer examination, it's not working well, and you're out of alignment afterwards. So the recovery then takes some time. So try, Commander, try not to center yourself like that. Try to stay centered. You executed your right face and then a short left step to get yourself centered again. But if you don't have to execute a side step either way, then it's going to be much better for you in the long run. Okay, so don't turn at the waist and execute a slide. So in marching band, what we do is we'll execute slides, and the hips will be faced in the direction of the marching, and then the shoulders are faced in the direction of the audience, and that's for sound projection. Sound is obviously a definite requirement for projecting, unless you don't want to project it at a certain time. So anyway, you're sliding. Okay, you've got your whole body turned, and what you're supposed to do is turn your head, and that's it. You need to march normally. You're at attention, normally like this, and then I actually saluted, and back in my day at New Mexico Military Institute, I saluted with my hand right in the middle of my forehead, and I should have pulled it back, but you can see it in one of my photos that I've posted online when I was drum major. But it's the head turn that needs to be executed, just like that. Eyes right, and then you turn your head, not your whole body. So then you hold that salute and you give ready front, and then you drop. Ready front is then given on the left foot for coordinated arm swing. And you gave it on the left foot. Good. Okay. Again, half step must be a heel strike. It's supposed to look just like a full step. Same technique, just half the distance. Boy, out of alignment, even for the report out. So it most likely it was that end step. I don't know if I can find it here. Let's see. Oh, it looks to be in line, but then when you come around to the front, you can see that the third rank isn't in line. So that was relatively consistent. It's quite possibly what I call visual memory. And there's a long explanation for that, but visual memory is what you're used to. So the squad leaders kind of pull in when they're marching in column formation, but they might push out when they're marching in line formation, and that's all due to visual memory. You have a space in between you for marching in with somebody in front of you. But when you don't have somebody in front of you, then you're marching with people beside you. This is for the squad leaders. So you march with the other squad leaders next to you, and so you're used to a certain space if you're not consistently trying to measure off that space. And what I mean by that is when you're in training, when you're practicing, every single time you halt, the commander needs to say dress and cover. It's informal. Arms can go up. Arms really need to go up to make sure that you have proper distance. But you need to get your dress, cover, interval, and distance. And it doesn't matter if you're in line formation or column formation, or and that's probably the two best. If you're either inverted, then you need to turn around. But giving dress and cover every single time you halt is going to help instill that visual memory and create a better spacing, any distance or any direction, really. So you call it every single time you halt, and eventually you call it a little less and then a little less, and you're stopping and you don't need to do it. You stop another time, you need to do it, okay, you do it. But eventually you're not going to have to really do it at all. The team is going to be so well practiced and able to handle the responsibilities of dress, cover, interval, and distance that you're going to be just fine. You might need to touch up on it every once in a while, but being able to create the better handling of the responsibilities is what you're doing through practice. So dress and cover, dress and cover, dress and cover. At first, you sound like a broken record, and it's just it can get annoying, and I understand that. However, it's very necessary for you to do that. And then you start to understand better your alignment, so that when you're executing facing movements, all of a sudden you're not out of alignment. Well, I was aligned here while we're all abreast, and then when I turn, we're not aligned. Well, that's because of whatever. So, and it goes for spacing, and it also goes for alignment as well. You get used to somebody being this far ahead of you or behind you or something like that, and it shows up in maybe instances like this, where all of a sudden you execute a facing movement and now you're out of alignment, or at least you see that you're out of alignment. You didn't notice it before because you're so used to, Charlie on the left being this far behind you, and now, oh, okay, crud, I'm out of alignment. Well, who's wrong? Well, it's a combination. So that might be something that, well, actually it will be something that can help you significantly. Boy, that's impressive, honestly. The arm swing, the step technique, it really is impressive. I'm just hoping that you can. Oh, glad you moved the chair. So I'm glad that you're marching so well. Just need to alter some techniques there, but honestly, that's very impressive, team. It really is. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get this taken care of, but really, I very much appreciate the request. Awesome job. This is, tell you what, let's escape here. This is, I think it's Paulding. Let me, yeah, I'm positive it's Paulding. Yeah, Paulding County Army JROTC. That's it, Paulding County. So nicely done. A couple of things need to be taken care of, but well, I hope my comments have been helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you very much.